Okay, we have a very exciting show today, and I want to thank everybody for coming back to our channel. So today we're going to talk about the WavWatch, one of our most popular products, definitely one of our most favorite products. And we have the actual owner and developer of the WavWatch, the sound frequency technology watch, which we love so much, Miss Linda Bamber Olson. And then we've got Riley and Mickey here with USA MedBed down below, who are huge fans, Linda, of your technology.
Yes.
I love
Like
it.
yeah, and I have it on my wrist, but I put it off to the side here. But I love this watch. And so we're super excited. And thank you so much for taking the time to jump on with us today. So, you developed the Wave Watch. It's basically a watch that delivers sound frequency into the wrist, right? And
Correct.
the new and improved one, the newest one out right now, is 1,000 frequencies. So we just got the 1,000 frequency watch, which I am super excited. I switched out right away. And so tell us a little bit about the watch, what led you to develop it, and we'll get a little bit into the nuts and bolts of kind of how it works.
Okay. Well, I think it is kind of fun to tell you that I am completely deaf in one ear. So the fact that I was deaf made me super interested in sound and frequencies. Evidently, I learned some things at a young age, just, intuitively, because nobody knew that I was deaf in one ear until the third grade. And it actually is a handicap because I had to learn to face the person. I had to orient towards the sound. I learned to put my hands on people's shoulders, I guess, is what I was told, and absorb some of their frequencies, or their information, that kind of stuff. And so I learned a lot as a young child about frequencies, which I didn't even know. And so that was part of my interest always in sound and frequencies because I couldn't do it. I have children that can sing unbelievably, and I can't sing because I'm tone deaf. So there's so much with frequencies that are very unique. But the other half of my story is that both my mother and sister developed breast cancer at the same time. And my medical doctors just wanted me to have a double mastectomy and quote unquote, I wouldn't have any problems. Well, we all know there's some falsehoods in that. And I basically said, oh, I can figure out something better than that. I don't have to have my boobs. I'm going to, just put it right out there. I don't have to have my boobs cut off because that's all you know to do. And so I started a business about 15 years ago. I quit teaching school and I named my business BRAS, Breast Research Awareness and Support. And the logo is a bra. And I have been teaching women for about 15 years different things that you can do to protect your breast health. And as I worked with, 5,000 to 6,000 women, it was obvious that there were so many reasons for breast cancer and breast problems that weren't being addressed. And, you can take a pill here and a pill there and a supplement here and, do 100 different things. But why couldn't there be one thing that could be supportive for all of those ideas? And it was frequencies. So I went back to my childhood thinking and I developed something called the WaveWatch. So it is a little bit larger watch that you wear on your wrist, but like you already mentioned, it has 1,000 frequencies. And so I kind of cry when I say this, but when I was developing it, I had 9 women have breast lumps go away in about 30 minutes in my office.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Wow. In 30
Yeah.
minutes?
Yeah.
God,
And saved
that's
some of them
unbelievable.
surgery. And one of them was a nurse, so she was that was, quite a bit interesting. Go ahead. You were going to show
I
something
have it.
there.
Yeah. I mean, I just absolutely love it. Now, the thing about these 1,000 frequencies, and I think because I'm putting it in the camera, it's going to come up backwards, but it is super user friendly. It's very easy to use. You can scroll, you can pick any section. I mean, since we're women here on the call, I can just hit women and it's going to just run through all these frequencies that you can run, and your left hand absorbs frequency, so you would wear it on your left wrist. And basically, like, yes, I'll just put I mean I
So if
mean
you
I'll
put it
just
on
put hair
breast,
loss.
yeah, hair
I
loss. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll put breast. I put breast and then look at all the subcategories for breast that came up, a whole host of those. And so I'll do breast calcification. And now that little frequency is running. Now I love it because you can turn it up and turn it down, but it's sending that frequency for that specific thing into your wrist, into your body. And I love it because it goes on the wrist. You just go about your daily routine. You even forget you're wearing it at times. And then what I really love is that you can keep cycling through, right? So if I say I want to cycle through that whole list of frequencies, I can do that. If I want to run this frequency over and over, I can do that. And what I really like is that, like, Linda, sometimes I'm not even sure what frequency I want, but there's a whole set of frequencies for men. There's a whole set of frequencies for your everything, right? And so sometimes I go by my intuition, right? Sometimes what I do is I'll just go into a category and I'll say, you know what, I'm just going to go with my intuition. And all of a sudden I'll be like, yes, thyroid detox, or, like there's so many of them. And the ones that I really find that I use a lot also are the fat burning ones for weight loss. You have the weight loss category. So when
Mhm.
I'm at the gym and working out and I'm burning calories, I'm like, I want to go into the weight loss, right? And then you have all these other ones for adrenals and all these other frequencies that you can run. And there's everything you need for detox. And then you've got, I mean, you name it, it's in there. But, like with anything, there's certain ones that I do like to run. Thyroid, I like to run the thyroid detox a lot. And then you have all the ones for liver, kidney. I mean, everything, 1,000 now. It was 850, now it's 1,000. But sometimes I'm like, you know what? I just want to explore and go through the frequencies because there's so many of them. And I like to kind of break out of my little routine and say, you know what, let's just pick something new because I gotta, there's 1,000 and I keep running 10 or 15. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I need that one. And boom, next thing I know, I've got another one that I'm running. So and Linda, the thing is with this, now that I'm going, because I'm just so excited right now, because I love it so much,
I love
it gets into a
it.
lot of the Rife frequency codes, right? Like the Rife frequencies, right? Is those where those
Yes.
frequencies are coming from. And you can run frequency through sound, you can do it through PEMF, you can do it through biophotonic light energy. There's different ways you can transmit energy, but sound is such an easy way to do it. And you don't have to go sit in a room, right? Like that's what I love about it. It's like I can run frequencies in my wrist. Like I run a lot of frequencies when I'm hiking in the woods. And I do go back to sometimes the weight loss ones, but I don't have to go say, I need to take 45 minutes to go sit in a room to get exposure to some of these frequencies. I don't need to take time out of my day, which is already busy enough, to have to go somewhere to sit down to get exposure to those frequencies. And the fact that you can just wear it, and I mean, Lyme disease, you've got like 15 frequency codes for Lyme. And I've got people that have bought this watch. In fact, we know Carrie, right? Her roommate was having issues with that. And this was one of the technologies that we gave to her to help her roommate. And she's definitely feeling much, much, much better. Um, but it's all being done while you're at work, while you're doing your job, while you're driving in the car, while you're grocery shopping. It enables you to get the benefit of all these technologies while you still go about your daily routine.
Well, thanks. You have got it down to a T. That's a
I just
great
love it so much. And there's specific frequency codes for men, there's frequency codes for women. One of the main frequency codes also that are both for men and women, because I just went into the women's, is hair loss, right? And over the last few years, there's been a lot of men and women that have talked a lot about hair loss. And when I go into the watch, you've got multiple hair loss frequencies in there also. And when I run the hair loss frequency, I can literally feel tingling on the top of my head exactly where it's going. I can
I
literally
love
feel
that.
it. Yeah. And so being in my 50s, certainly, I have hair, but it's starting to thin a little bit, but it's also about maintaining the hair that I do have. And so for men and women both, it's always good to maintain and give that stimulation to the scalp and get that circulation into the scalp, enhance the hair, keep it thick, keep it full. And then, of course, for those folks that have had thinning or have had issues, this is another frequency code that I absolutely love to run on this watch. Um, you know,
You know what? I'm going to step out here because I've never really got to talk about this with it's a men folder you're talking about. So I
Yeah.
actually have frequencies for ED in there that are private and they're just on there and you just touch them and play them. Or in Kansas City area, they advertise heavily for ED and they do use frequencies. And they're saying, you're going to wait 6 to 8 weeks for results, and the fee is $6,000 to $8,000.
Yes.
And you have to go all the time, there, or
That's
you
right.
have those same ideas. And most men are so private about that. But I just thought, oh, well, I haven't been able to say this before. So there's a whole different realm on there for men,
There
and
is.
we have the same thing for women. Sorry, I've seen. There we go. Sorry. Okay. So
you're
anyway,
good.
got it off now. So I think that's kind of fascinating that
It is.
there are so many ideas.
And here's the thing also, since we're bringing that up, because there's a lot of glamorous frequencies for things that we all know, like health and energy. And there's a lot of them for kids. There's a lot of them for seniors. There's a lot of them for incontinence. I mean, but if we're
And
going to get into the
cosmetic stuff
specific
as
ones,
well.
what's that?
Like acne, like
Acne, yeah,
cosmetic stuff as
exactly.
well.
Yeah. And we'll get into those. Riley, before we get off the call today, I want you to talk about some of the ones you like. But as long as we're in the men's ones, erectile dysfunction, you might not hear about a lot, but as a guy, other guys will confide in me that, yeah, that's an issue. And that is an issue that's
Very
actually
common.
very, very popular and very common. And
Yeah.
then in addition to that, enlarged prostate, I can't tell you how many men have enlarged prostate. I have no idea why in God's green earth it is just absolutely all over the place. But that's a big deal. And that's another one that you've got on there. And so for even myself, it's like, look, this is all about maintenance, and then you get into all the different organs and all the pelvic stuff, like pretty much anything in the pelvic region, there's a frequency code for it. So you're either addressing something that's going on right now, or you're doing prevention. And Linda, in my opinion, prevention is just as important as waiting for an issue to come up. So it's like your body's an engine. It's like a car, and it needs to go in and get maintenance done. And you need to change the oil and you need to change the filters. And if you change the oil and change the filters, your car probably will not blow up. But if you don't do all those things and you don't do regular maintenance and, there's other stuff, probably working out, hitting the gym, good diet, but this is running frequencies and stimulating and bringing energy and bringing circulation and addressing a lot of the different things that both men and women, are dealing with right now in this day and age that we're in. And you addressed right away the breast cancer, and I know that's very dear to your heart. But you really are in a very great position, because not only have you created the technology, but you've been able to sit back and see the amount of benefit and the amount of people that have been helped with this technology. So, the number of people and the testimonials that you have put together on this technology that you've developed is really amazing. I mean, it's amazing. And it's beautiful because it's such a wide spectrum, right? I mean, we're going from kids, like Riley was just talking about acne, like Riley's 25 years old, right? And she is more excited about this technology than like sometimes even me, but I'm pretty excited about it. But I love the fact that you can, like, 25-year-old young people, there's frequency codes that they can use. And acne is one, even kids, in their
It's
teens
a
and
huge
in their
one.
20s.
And adults, adult acne is horrible. And it's very, very, very common.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love the fact. Now, we can get back into this. I'll just touch on this briefly, and then I want to get into your presentation. Every cell in your body runs on a frequency, right? It's just a simple fact. Every frequency, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your cartilage, everything's frequency. And that technology and that is actually that's over 100 years old. We're getting into Nikola Tesla. And then we kind of have to touch on Royal Rife, obviously, right? Because number one, I love that guy. God bless his soul, because we are singing the praises now of the work that this guy did 100 years ago. But back in the 1920s, he developed a microscope, had over 5,000 working parts to it, at some point almost 6,000 working parts. The magnification that this guy was able to come up with was 60,000 magnification, literally looking at cells under a microscope, and he could watch them move. He could watch how they operate. And what he did is he basically ran frequencies into the cells until he could find out what would stimulate the cell and what would dissipate or get rid of the cell. So with the technology that Linda's got with this watch, it's building and using these frequency code sets, and many have been obviously added since Mr. Rife, but this is documented science. Like, this is documented science, and it's old science, and it gives credence to Mr. Tesla, to Mr. Rife, and a lot of people that came before us that really started the research and really started the development of sound frequency and all these different beneficial components for health and wellness. So with that being said, now we've got this watch that runs 1,000 frequencies. It's like something out of the Jetsons. It's like something out of the Jetsons right there. Riley, you might not know about the Jetsons, but
Yes, I
that
do.
okay. Just checking. Just
And
checking.
And I think your company name is perfect, because some people say a med bed on your wrist,
I mean,
Hey,
it really, yeah. I mean,
Your
the only thing you
everywhere
need is one on the other
What-
side to say, beam me up, Scotty, and you could go up to the spaceship.
It'd beam me up, Scotty. That's hilarious.
So Linda, do you want to start your slide presentation and get into a little bit of the
well, let me see if I can do that. I have one that I want to talk to you about really quick, so I might jump right in there.
and you just take this conversation wherever you want to go, because as you can see, I'm so excited to get you on and talk to you today that I'm kind of all over the place.
Now, does that one get you there? Can you see
That's
me?
beautiful.
Okay.
Yes.
So I want to just show you quickly. We've already talked about the 1,000 frequencies, and we do have a code today. You can order from Sean personally, or if whatever, you can also do USA MedBed, and just go to WavWatch.com and use the discount code USA MedBed, and that will get you $100 off just using his code. But you can also contact him and his website. And then he kind of touched on this a little bit. There's hundreds of sound frequencies, literally now up to 1,000. And then there's no cords or messy wires or patches. You're okay this way. There is some other technology out there. You're hooked up to the internet, and that is so dangerous. Please be careful. And if you don't believe me and Sean and everybody connected with this, do your own research. But I've had 3 terrible instances that I talk about a lot. I had a lady come in who had put her cell phone in her bra, and within 6 months or so, she had 3 kinds of breast cancer under that cell phone image. I had another lady who wore a cell phone in her pocket, and she has a great big ovarian cyst she had to have removed in less than a year. And then the worst one to me was an elderly lady that was a little crippled, and she leaned like this. Well, guess what she had? She had a life alert, one of those alerts hooked up to the internet. And within a short period of time, she had breast cancer under that life alert. Now, if you don't believe that being hooked up to the internet is dangerous, you need to start looking about that. So I'm sorry if you're wearing, can I say a product name?
Yeah.
If you're wearing a Fitbit, if you're wearing an Apple Watch, you are hooked up to the internet. And so the list continues, some of the things that they can do. So the neat thing about the WavWatch, no internet connectivity. Everything is made right here. So there's thousands of steps that go through this watch every second. And then, whoops, I jumped here. Oops, come on. Doesn't like me. Okay. So there's no monthly fee. very important. Other places have monthly fee. Even if you're hard of hearing, you can use it and everybody can absorb it. Even dogs and cats and horses. I've got all kinds of testimonies from people using it. And somebody even sent me a picture of their duck that they used the WavWatch on for their duck to heal. I thought that was very interesting. And then it's very cost effective, in my opinion. Everybody has their own opinion, but there are some tools out there, like there's a mosquito repellent. Has anybody seen that? It's a little wristband you wear, and it's around $40, but it has one frequency to repel mosquitoes. Well, guess what? I have mosquito repel on the WavWatch, if you haven't discovered that. And I have 999 other frequencies, that kind of an idea. There's one for calming. And again, it's another kind of thing you wear on your wrist. But this one, you have to wear it on 2 wrists. You have 2 units and you set it for calming. And that one, I believe, is $149. And that's all it does is calming. And then if you want one for sleep, you buy 2 more wristbands. So the list goes on and on. So how many tools are you going to have to get up to 1,000 frequencies? So the savings is, to me, astronomical when you start doing it that way. So the WavWatch has lots of ideas and on one tool. And Sean's already mentioned, you absorb it through your energy through your left hand and you share it through your right hand. We've learned ancient history to shake people's, with our right hand, and we get their energy. So it's very interesting. And then this is how the watch actually works. Every cell has about 70 different receptors. So when they feel a vibration from your wrist, and it doesn't matter whether it's slipped around and it's on this side, your skin and your bones absorb vibrations. Okay. So they start these receptors, about 70 different ones, to vibrating, and that starts the cell to vibrate. Then the next cell vibrates and the next cell, and then it zips through your body at 4.3 times the speed of sound.
That is so cool. That is really cool.
Now it gets even better. This is the slide I wish I should have started on or could have. But if you take, quote unquote, a medicine or an over-the-counter or something like that, those chemicals go through your body at a foot a second. And it's so slow that your body burns up 98% of that wave that it's trying to send through. Wow. So your body only absorbs 2%. And so that's why we need to take medicines over and over and over again.
Wow.
Now, did they know this when Rife was developing his technology? That wave files, that's how I named the watch, wave files, WAV, waves and vibrations is what I, call it. They're 100% absorbed, and they're absorbed like that, where they couldn't make enough money if they couldn't sell their prescriptions over and over and over again. So in my opinion, that was part of the reasoning that they didn't want frequencies used. So frequencies were labeled and they had a bad name, and, they went to great lengths to eliminate them from our use in healing. So this could be one of the reasons right here, the speed at which they heal. And that, they just outclassed prescriptions. Is there a better way to say that, Sean?
I don't know. That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
So think about that, Now, here's another one. And I'm not sure if any of you have seen cymatics before. This is what happens. These are images of sound. Well, sure. It looks like something got cut off here just a little bit, but cymatics, that is images of sound. So what they've done is taken a plate and they put sand on it, and then they exposed it to a frequency, and the sand would change. So they're even thinking and postulating that, wow, maybe that's how the earth was formed, because they could see that mountains and valleys were made with frequencies.
You know what's
It
amazing,
takes,
Linda, is all these frequencies make these incredibly beautiful patterns. So
Mhm.
every time you change it, like you just had it up there, the patterns in the sand that are absolutely like each one of those is a pattern from a different frequency. And when you watch it live and you watch them switch and you watch the sand move and these patterns develop, it'll absolutely blow your mind. I mean, it'll absolutely blow your mind to see how powerful something as simple as sand being moved around on a disc or a plate with the sound vibration will create every single one of these. I mean, I find it incredibly fascinating, but when you see that, then you can really understand how it works within your cellular structure of your body.
Mhm.
and Sean, you just nailed it on this because this is what this is. This is a picture instead of sound. This is a picture that they use, and this comes from Stanford Med, and they manipulated heart cells. And each one of these little squares is a different frequency on a heart cell. Look at
Wow.
that. If you cannot
Wow.
believe that frequencies can affect your body, this ought to tell you. This is the proof
Wow.
right here. A simple change in frequency puts the cells in motion and guides them to a new position and holds them in place. So every single one of these is a heart cell that's been introduced to a frequency.
That
I
is
mean, doesn't that just
amazing.
blow you away? That's
It
almost one of my
really
favorite
does.
pictures now.
It's
Now, the
beautiful.
other thing I like to say about this, and this is an introduction to something completely different. We could go there a different time, another time. But haven't you seen these pictures before? Don't these little images remind you of tiles from ancient history
Exactly.
or
Yes, it does.
clothing? I mean,
Patterns and rugs. Yeah.
Yeah.
this could be a rug just right here. Just
Yeah.
that
Well,
whole.
see that, and that's the thing. Like these older civilizations were way smarter than we ever gave them credit for. And a lot of that sacred geometry and a lot of this is interwoven into a lot of stuff, especially Native American Indian, indigenous people. I mean, they were really very, very advanced, actually, way more advanced than we ever give them credit for. And so you're absolutely right. These are patterns that do strike a familiarity, especially with tile and, even coming out of South America, Mexico, and other parts of the world.
So did ancient cultures know what sound looked like? Had they discovered cymatics? I mean, what else could you draw? What other conclusion?
Well,
And then, yeah. Oh, it's just fascinating. So we can
it
talk about
is.
that another time. The ancient history is very, very amazing. So for some reason today, I think I wanted to show you just a few ideas. If you're interested in this a little bit more, I do have 65 1 hour pretty much targeted presentations on specific topics. So if you want to know about stroke, I have done a presentation on strokes and gathered up all the information on the WavWatch and a few other little ideas that might be helpful for you. Or if you want to know about allergies and get ready for allergy season or kidney stones, I have forgotten to mention that earlier. I've had, yeah, people have talked to me 17 different times in my office, and kidney stones went away in about 30 minutes. So this is
It's
like,
so funny. Well, when I met you and we were hanging out together, I had just had kidney stone surgery,
that's
and
right.
I will never get to that position again because anytime that those come anywhere close, bang, I'm getting the frequency punched
Yep.
in. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Or you could go to the medical community, which we have to do sometimes. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I've had several people tell me that procedure or just being in the hospital 2 days. I had a couple of people that they were 2 days and they were just on meds and water for their kidney stones, and it didn't do anything. And that was a $40,000 fee. And so I met two people after they got out of the hospital, and they put the WavWatch on, and in 30 minutes they were out of pain. And when they did a urine sample, it was full of plaque. So it's like these are targeted, frequencies. They're very precise. We're on a lithotripsy system, which looks like the nose of a rocket cone, if you've ever seen that idea. They are using every ultrasonic frequency that they know. They're just blasting you with everything.
Mhm.
Or you can just use very fine precise frequencies. So anyway, you can also see this on Rumble and you can see it on YouTube. And so there's lots of, videos if you'd like to watch more about it. So what I thought we could talk about a little bit today, maybe this is too much information, but when you get your WavWatch, I'm assuming that somebody might want to get this WavWatch, I guess. I'm just jumping to that conclusion, but you'll get a booklet like this. And when you open it, you will see all the 1,000 frequencies. And what I tell you to do first is to play inflammation, pain, and trauma if you don't have any, because that's what medical, community is telling us now, that everything is from inflammation. And also we have all this trauma and obviously pain. So that's my favorite frequency. But the second set is what I kind of wanted to visually show you a little bit today. And Sean, you'll have to tell me time-wise how we are, because I get real excited. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I do too. I think I think we're good. We got at least another 10 or 15 minutes. Okay.
So I'm just going to tell you, this is something that is not mentioned medically very often. 60% of the world's population is affected by parasites. So, many people ignore the facts so long. We talk about our animals have parasites. We take care of them. We worm them. We, blah, 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 blah. But we don't do anything for ourselves. And literally, Americans must think that we're immune because we go all over the world and we bring the world's parasites back to us. So we have more parasites than you can believe. So this is a complete folder on the screen out of all of the ideas that we have for parasites. So you can just touch the first one and it makes a loop. You can just loop parasite combo and it will play ideas 2 through 12 over and over and over again, or you can set it, in different ways. You could pick one out if you wanted to. And it kind of explains to you when it's numbered general 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's just letting you know that that's a different song or a different sound. And there's different kinds of parasites. So some sounds will work better on other parasites than others. So it's not saying that one's better than the other. I always say it's kind of like Elvis singing a song. He's got lots of different songs. How do you know which one you like the best? You listen to them all,
Right. That's right.
But once in a while, you might feel something when you're playing through it. So if you have a reaction, you might see if you can have the watch will come on with a light and you'll be able to see what is playing on the screen. Now, like right now, it is playing for me, but it's gone dark so that it conserves energy. But when you feel something, turn it back on so that you can see it like this. And then you can tell which frequency was having an effect on your body. And then you might choose to loop that one and play that one for several hours because you had a reaction for some reason. And people have different reactions. They might feel a little bit of energy. Some people might feel a little pain. You might jump. It might just be, sometimes it's just a soothing feeling. So lots of different reactions. So I can't say everybody's going to be completely different. So just a different idea on this frequency. It's going to play. It's like, your body, sometimes you sing along with a song and sometimes you don't. So if your body likes one more than the other or it reacts to it, note that and play that one longer. But here's what's interesting. Hulda Clark is a big person in parasites, and she says that men have 3 pounds of parasites in their body. And because of that, they have a 4-year shorter lifespan. Sorry, Sean. But now you have the WavWatch.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
So there weren't any stats on women. So I guess we're off the hook. Not really. We can't be. We pass parasites back and forth. It's just amazing where we get parasites from. So there's about 45,000 types, of parasites. And some of them could get more than 80 feet long and live more than 30 years,
It's really intense. It's funny, Linda, we've gone in and done some deep diving on parasites in the last month or 6 weeks. Riley was with me, but there's a lot of places they come from. They come from pets. They can come from something as simple as sushi.
Mm.
There's a lot of places they come from, but going back to what you just were talking about with Hulda Clark, who is really probably the pioneer for diagnosing and coming up with all the frequency codes for parasites, and then the Hulda Clark zappers. If you buy those zappers, which we just looked at, most of those are as expensive, if not more expensive than the watch. Most of them only run a very certain number of frequencies. You can't get the full spectrum like you've got in the watch. And you literally have to sit and hold on to two copper rods usually.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to type. You're not going to be able to drive. You're going to have to sit down. And the Hulda Clark zappers they've got a great history and they're great technology. But once again, the way that the watch is set up, you've got all those frequencies. You hit go, you're back on the computer, you're off to drive, you're going to pick up the kids at school, and you're doing all this and running all these frequencies and really still having 100% control of your day.
I appreciate that input. And that was the whole idea for me, was to make everything, portable, very, very huge.
Right.
And so while you were talking, I could see, some people were looking at what I'm telling you, where we're getting worms from. You can walk in the grass, you can walk in the, the beach, and you're going to get a parasite. So it just goes on and on,
It
and
does.
people sleep with their pets anymore. They lick them, so if you've got pets, be playing the parasite one over and over and over.
Yeah.
So we can get them from anywhere. And then these are some symptoms, and we can't even begin to go in all this time-wise. But this is one chart I had, and this was from, parasite symptoms. But look at this next slide I have. Where is it? There we go. Parasite symptoms. You could have allergies, right, really bad, and it's actually parasites, you know? So the list
what's really crazy? Yeah, the parasites. So what I've done from research, the parasites like to sit in between the large and small intestine. So as the nutrients in the food gets broken down, the parasites are sitting there. So once the food starts getting broken down, they can literally sit there and absorb all the nutrients of your food. So you're basically losing so much of the nutrient value of the food to these parasites. And in addition to that, it obviously makes you more hungry because your body's not getting the nutrients it needs. So it's sending signals off. And then it also has a lot to do also with the food cravings. You're getting cravings for certain things that are literally coming from parasites. And I'm so glad you brought this up, because this is a really big issue that very few people talk about. It's not that there's other things out there, but this is really much larger than what most people think. Everybody basically has them. It's a level of how bad are they? But they're not being addressed. That's a problem. And just having something like this, like we were talking about earlier, whether you've been diagnosed and you've got them, or you just want to make sure you don't have them, or you want to reduce whatever's there, you just punch the codes in, hit the replay, and let it run, go about your day, and let the technology sort of do an oil change on your intestinal tract and start moving stuff through and going after it. I mean, it's absolutely, it's absolutely perfect timing to address that type of a health issue.
We just do not realize. I mean, they're connecting it with MS. There's a video that you can see that somebody's having an operation for brain cancer, quote unquote, and they pull a parasite out of the person's, So it just it goes on and on. I was trying to. And don't forget the moon. We just had a big moon, and that's when parasites, their movement, they're reproducing. That's why people get so crazy around when the moon comes. Just trying to find this is the slide. I can't say this any better. I'm going to read it. Parasites eat, sleep, and poop inside you. And you kind of already said this, Sean. They like specific molecules. They will poop a substance that will bind to a receptor and resonate at a certain frequency. Even the parasites use frequencies to affect our bodies. Does that not blow you away? So then
it does blow me away.
Parasites make us make more dopamine. They mess with our hormones. Is that not crazy?
It's like the
So,
more I learn, the more I realize how little I know. But like I'm just like, as soon as we get off this call, I'm cranking out the watch on the parasites, and you know, the weight loss stuff's going to have to just wait, and some of the other stuff's going to go to the back burner. But it really is intense. It really is intense, and I don't think we really like that. Those are really great slides because you've really put together a lot of information on there. And for people watching the video, they can go back or even hit pause and just go in and really look at that. But I mean, of all the 1,000 frequencies that are there in this watch, those 12 or 14 just for parasites alone, and like I said, I love Hulda Clark. I mean, she's a pioneer, but the zapper, there's a dozen different zappers. There's a different frequency range that each of them have, and they are effective and they are brilliant technologies. But this is cutting edge, state of the art technology that's basically hands free, which is probably a really nice way of saying it, that puts everything on autopilot. That's like the modern day version of that, that builds off of technology from really great scientists like Mrs. Clark.
yeah, we have to say thank you to all those people, in the last
I
100
love
years
them.
that brought
Yeah,
us to this point, So, and this
exactly.
is some other technology that I use, and it's called an MSA. And I tested 100 people with this when I was developing the watch, and 42 of them had parasites as their worst problem. So this machine has about 50,000 frequencies, and they just hold a bar and I'm just touching them, and it reads the frequencies in your body. So it would tell me sometimes people have 30 or 40 different kinds of parasites. It lists every kind of parasite. And so when we used, and here's, a little bit more about it. I kind of feel we're running out of time, so I don't want to short anybody. But people wore the WavWatch for about 30 minutes. And normally, I would have given them, $150 to $200 worth of parasite detox and killing parasite remedies and things like that. And it might take 6 to 8 months, to get this done. And we saw that all 42 people had parasites gone within 30 minutes, according to the testing that I'd always done for 15 years. There were no concerns. The computer didn't even read parasites anymore. It's like it zapped them really good. And then
That is amazing.
one lady sent me a testimony. This is one of my 42 people, and she goes home, and this is what happened within 6 hours.
Yeah.
That's
And
the
you know what?
parasite, right?
People need to see that, Linda, because we can talk about parasites, but you visually need to see exactly what it is that we're talking about. And when you got into it, we dug deep on this and we talked to
Yes, we
some
did.
people that were really experts on it. And I'm telling you, that's tame compared to what I saw. Like
Oh,
we
yeah.
literally saw stuff that were 8, 10 inches long. And I mean, it's
Yeah.
really intense. And yeah, I mean, it's really amazing. And yeah, that really, I think it's a wake-up call for everybody. And the thing I was going to say is that it's beautiful that you took them out so fast. But like I was saying, I keep reiterating, keep running the frequencies once a week,
Yes.
once every 2, 3 weeks, because you do have eggs that'll eventually hatch. And you want to prevent them from coming back in from any way, shape, or form. And they're coming in through a multitude of different ways that it's almost impossible for us to stop it. But just as a regular maintenance, just like, getting spark plugs, just like getting oil changed, run those frequencies for the body and look at all those. Yeah. I mean, and like the beautiful part about it is there's a frequency that's addressing each one of those parasites. When you go to general 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's literally what you're doing is you're going from roundworm to hookworm to fluke to tapeworm. So it's such a complete set of frequencies you put together just on that one subset of issues with your health.
Oh, I appreciate that. And that's what I tried to do is like, there's so many different ones. So you said it exactly right when you said we have to keep doing it. I could see that it worked really quickly, really fast, and did a really good job. but we eat something different, we walk in the grass. So we have to keep doing something. Well, do you want to keep taking supplements or whatever? I'm not sure what people are using. Most of us aren't using anything. That's the problem. We're not using anything.
Right.
So then we have all of these health problems. So you do continue at least twice a month or more, do a parasite detox, run through that there. So anyway, I thought I'd kind of run through those right quick if that's works for you. So
I love that. I'm so happy you did. And we're going to do another call. We'll probably do another call either next week or the week after, depending on your schedule, because we are getting a little bit short on time. I'm trying to keep the calls now around 45 minutes to an hour. Another thing, it's a really important thing I want everybody to know, and this is me personally, when I use the watch, I get at least 8 hours of use out of the watch. So if I'm running frequencies and I have it charged, it'll run for at least 8, sometimes 9 or 10. But here's the beautiful part. I can recharge the watch in about 15 to 20 minutes. So 8 hours of running frequencies and then say, okay, 15, 20 minutes, plug it back in, boom, another 8 to 10 hours. And I know people that we've sold these to that literally wear these things at night and run frequencies while they're sleeping at night because they're seeing such benefit and they really want to go after it. But that is an incredibly long period of time to get that much, time running frequencies off of a charge, and then the time frame to just recharge it and get it right back into action. It's so quick. It's another great feature about this watch. Linda, before we go, and Riley, are you did you want to ask any questions or do you want
Um, well, do we have enough time for me to ask questions?
let's just see if you have one or two good ones and then we'll probably have to move, but
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I talked too much. Sorry about that.
no, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, you did not talk too much. We have so much to talk about. That's the best part. But I guess for me, having like a hormonal imbalance, I think. What would you recommend? What's the best frequency for a hormonal imbalance?
I'm so glad you just saw the parasite folder and how parasites affect hormones. So that's one, so we think outside the box, plus you could go to the women's section and there's a whole folder on hormones. And so I would run most of those and let them loop through.
Is there a specific one?
Yes, there is a folder for hormones in the women's section. And then the men have their own section also for hormones. So, yeah. So there's one right there. So the one I muscle test for a lot, I don't know if anybody knows anything about muscle testing, but I do have a couple of programs teaching muscle testing. I can zero down it. And usually my body tells me I just need hormone combination, or hormone balance, hormone balance.
Balance. All right, cool.
So all of those. So that's a good area for gals.
And my second question would be for animals. What do you recommend for which frequency for animals?
Well, the animals are going to have the parasites too. That's a huge one for them. And what people are doing depends on the animal, but several people have dogs in their house and they've just taken their WavWatch off and set it on a counter and then turn it up so that the animal can hear it. And that they can, it's not going to bother anybody if they hear it also. And so they play a lot of anxiety and calming for some of their animals. I was really surprised. And they'll say their animals just come sit at their feet, or you could hold the animal. So you could be playing calming anxiety, something, and you're touching the animal. That frequency actually goes to the animal also. So one of my cutest stories on this is a couple, a gentleman ordered the WavWatch for his wife with Parkinson's. And you could tell when he was talking to me, he got embarrassed. He couldn't figure out what to say. And then he just blurts out and he says, "We sleep really close together." And I'm going, okay. And then he finishes, he blurts out it again and he goes, "And I could feel her frequencies when she had the WavWatch on." Wow. And he said when he got up the next morning, his feet didn't hurt. And I'm going, oh, that's really neat. He goes, no, you don't understand. They've hurt for 15 years. I've been on medication for 15 years. So he felt his wife's frequencies.
So you don't have to wear it. You don't have to
Yes.
wear it. If you hear it, you can still absorb it. So just for animals, just hearing because my cat, I know that she is riddled with parasites. So if I just sat my watch and I turned it up all the way and I just kept it around her, she would absorb the frequency from it.
I mean, I can't say there's scientific studies on it, but yes, that would be the idea. That's what testimonies.
Okay.
That's where we're going with testimonies. And I've had a lot of people say that their cats are really unruly and, snarly little cats, and they're playing something on the WavWatch for the person themselves. And the cats will just come up and sit beside them, and they're just as relaxed as could be. And one lady said she had 5 cats and they had never done that before. So,
wow.
Yeah. So animals
Love
tend to
that.
like it.
That is
That's
awesome. Well, Linda, thank you so much for your time today. We greatly appreciate it. I am super excited we got time to meet up with you. A great product. Linda, the thing I also love about this product, you're delivering so much value at such a reasonable price. I mean, the cost of the watch is very reasonably priced, and I'm just so excited that we've had the ability to start carrying this. So, with that being said, is there anything you'd like to say before we sign off today?
Well, don't forget to contact Sean about this, or USA MedBed is the code. So you can order one just directly to you. I'm not sure where you might be if you're seeing this all over the US. We have people who have enjoyed using the WavWatch, and some of them are wearing it almost 24 hours a day because they charge it and put it right back on. So
it's amazing. So, like we said, we're going to do $100 discount. You can go to Linda, or you call us, or go to our website. We'll put our web address on there. If you mention the video, you're going to get $100 discount on the new 1000 frequency watch. And Linda, thank you so much again for your time today. Give our best to Carl. We love him. Between the two of you, you're making a lot of miracles happen out there in the world. And thank God for you and people like you. And we're super grateful for everything you're doing. And we're honored and blessed to be able to be a part of this mission, getting this technology out to the world.
oh, thank you. But it's ditto, because look at all you're doing. So you are just amazing also. Yes.
Well, we love you. Wish you the best. You take care, and we're going to talk to you again soon. If you want to just stay with us for just a sec, I'll end the recording and then we'll say goodbye.
All right.